engineer our trees, our flowers, and even humans. They want to eliminate the products of the billions of years of evolution and replace it with designer genes and designer organisms designed for greater profit and control to Monsanto and its minions. Now let me tell you a little bit about this company that is trying to take over life. When their consultant reported that the PCBs being released in Anniston, Alabama were poisoning the rivers and poisoning the people, they had evidence and proof. The response was typical by the mindset of Monsanto. They refused to stop poisoning, and they said in their confidential memo, we cannot afford to lose $1 of business. I was told by a former Monsanto employee, 3 of his colleagues did the safety studies on the milk from cows treated with Monsanto's bovine growth hormone. They found so much cancer-promoting hormone, IGF-1, in the milk, the 3 Monsanto scientists refused to drink milk thereafter unless it was organic. One bought his own cow. He also said to me, when another set of colleagues found that rats were damaged from Monsanto's corn, they did not withdraw the corn. They rewrote the study to hide the effects. And he told me he knew that the percentage of corn in the diets of the rats was fairly low. Usually Monsanto doesn't test above 33%. And he was aware that the people of South Africa and Southern Africa use corn as staples. And he was concerned that if the rats on 1/3 of their diet were showing these profound health dangers, what of the people of Southern Africa that use corn as 2/3 of their diet or more? Well, if you've seen the movie Genetic Roulette, there is a tragedy going on in South Africa. There was a farm where the farmer was complaining about the health of the cows and the pigs. Significant health damage. He took advice from a U.S. veterinarian who said, don't plant GMOs again. So he switched from GM to non-GM corn, started feeding it to the animals, and they got better. And then ran out of the GM corn, non-GM corn, switched back to the GM corn that he had to buy in the market, and all the animals got worse. And then he planted enough. It's Monsanto. And when I don't find a parking spot, it's Monsanto. When they finally got enough non-GMO corn to last year-round, the animals were fine. But here's the side story that's the central story. The people living on the farm were constantly sick. He only needed 50 farm workers, but he kept 60, 20% more, because so many were down with sickness. He was spending a fortune on anti-inflammatory drugs and painkillers. They had flu symptoms and cold symptoms and severe headaches. And about once a month or twice a month, the owner of the farm would speak to one of the farm workers, and he would notice that an eye would go in one direction and another eye would go in another direction, and the eyes lost the ability to track. And when he saw that, based on his experience, month after month after month, he knew that person would be dead in 1 or 2 days. Those farm workers were eating just the corn grown on the farm, so their corn, which was the majority of their diet, eaten 3 times a day, was 100% genetically engineered. So they were the canaries in the kitchen. They were the rats. They were the guinea pigs. They were us, humans, being fed Monsanto's meal as the majority of their food. And then when the animals switched off the corn, so too did the humans. And their problems went away just like the animals. And then when they had to buy corn from the market, the problems came back until they were able to secure non-GM corn year-round. These people may have been eating more GMOs than anyone on earth because they were eating 100% GM corn grown on the farm, not the mix that's normally available from the market. But they are us, our allies. We see what happened to them, and we see what would happen to our future if 100% of our commercial seeds were genetically engineered and patented, just as Monsanto planned. Now, if we look specifically at what this stuff can do, there are two types of genetically modified traits that predominate. The most popular is called herbicide tolerance. That's the crops that drink poison. You pour the poisonous Roundup on the crops, it drinks the Roundup and deposits a portion in the soybean and the corn for you and me. Well, Roundup is directly endocrine disruptive. Animals that were fed Roundup-ready crops had damage to their testicles, uterus, ovaries. More than half of the babies died within 3 weeks. The babies were smaller. The babies were fewer. The babies had hair growth. That was a big one. The speakers couldn't handle what I'm about to say. All right.
Won't eat that poison.
By the third generation on Roundup-ready soybeans, most of the hamsters were sterile. They died at 4 or 5 times the rate, and many had hair growing in their mouths. We have not had 3 generations of humans on GM corn and soy. But we have the children who are most at risk, most vulnerable. And we see a massive increase in complicated diseases, often gut-related and immune system-related and behaviorally related. And they're eating Roundup, which kills beneficial gut bacteria, which may shrink the cells in the intestines, causing leaky gut. It pulls and chelates with nutrients, making them unavailable. It's directly related to cancer and tumors. And it's in high concentrations of the food we're feeding to our children. And then we feed them the corn that's not only Roundup ready and drinking poison, this corn is designed to produce poison. It produces a toxin called Bt toxin. And the EPA said, oh, don't worry, our friends at Monsanto told us that the toxin has no effect on you and me, just insects. However, when they finally took the Bt toxin out of Monsanto's corn and exposed it to human cells, it poked holes in human cells just in the same way that it kills insects. And they found the Bt toxin inside the blood of 93% of pregnant women and in 80% of the unborn fetuses. And the unborn fetuses don't have blood-brain barriers developed, so that hole-punching toxin might end up in the brain of this generation of Americans, punching holes and causing eruptions and disruptions in the guts, because it can poke holes there, it can cause damage to the red blood cells. It might be related to the dramatic increase of gastrointestinal disorders that we've seen since GMOs were introduced. 40% increase in inflammatory bowel, Crohn's disease up, irritable bowel up. And when you talk to people who take GMOs out of their diet, what do they say? They get better. How many of you remove GMOs from your diet and alleviated or improved some symptoms? Raise your hand. So during the next music break, behind that yellow van, if you want to tell me your story on video, we're creating a new video, several of them, where people can report. And I've been asking audiences around the country to tell me what symptoms have improved. And almost every single time I speak of GMOs, there's people in the audience that say allergies have gone away. Gastrointestinal disorders have gone away. Nearly every talk, headaches, sometimes kidney disease, sometimes diabetes, sometimes high blood pressure, infertility. And when you talk to the thousands